we are live. Welcome to Coffee and Combat Podcast. I'm here with Joe. Joe, you want to say hi?
No.
Joe's a little salty right now. I'm strong arming him into this podcast so we can talk about some games before we play some games tonight. God, I've been doing too many things in the night. This morning, Jesus Christ. I need some coffee. Let me just one
Did
second.
you hear about the bounty on Donald Trump's head?
No, I didn't. But that's the way to kick it off. Who put a bounty on his head?
Iran, $80 million bounty.
That much? Really? That's it?
It's pretty huge.
Uh,
$80 million to try to take out the president of the United States of America?
a little bit of hard-hitting news in the beginning, but that seems kind of small because you got to go against the whole country. So you got Secret Service, you got the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. I don't think
Yeah.
80 million's enough.
You know who would help them, though?
Who?
Probably about the entire population of people that don't like Trump.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I think a lot of people puff out their chest and then when...
Iran also banned Americans from going to Iran.
But we have an embassy there. How do you ban an embassy?
Don't ask me, man. I'm not the one who makes the rules up. You gotta talk to Iran.
All right, you dick. Let's actually, speaking of that, I actually think Iran might be doing some cyber hacking on the US right now because I've noticed that
I saw that.
a lot of the YouTube and streaming services and stuff like that, and even just general surfing, has been really slow lately. If you haven't noticed.
No, dude, I'm safe. I'm in Canada.
No, you do use US servers, so you know.
I don't. I use .ca, not .com. Okay.
Yeah, but I think they're actually doing some cyber bullying over there. Those little fucks.
Well, I'd be that bored if I lived in a desert.
They have mountains too, you know.
Yeah, well.
All right, let's
Fuck.
get to some video games. I guess since we're talking about war.
Yeah, let's play some games.
All right, after we get this rolling. So let's start this conversation off with Hell Let Loose. Recently, let's actually pull out exactly when it came out. But I want to say it came out in September.
Okay.
Hell Let Loose.
Oh, I have no idea. I was too busy playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. You know, we talked about this. We set a time for it, and you're fucking it up, right?
Hey, speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, all right.
Wait, hold
Divinity
up.
Original Sin has a Game Master mode where it is exactly like Dungeons and Dragons. There's a Game Master, 4 players. Game Master gets to make NPCs. It's all on a map.
Are you
It's very
serious?
cool. Yeah, very cool.
All right. But back to Hell Let Loose. So, I'm not letting you change this. So there,
Game's garbage.
you liked it. Don't lie. All right, fine. We'll talk about Divinity 2, you asshole. So, Divinity 2 Original Sin. Game was released back in. I gotta fucking pull up those facts.
What? We're talking about Let Loose. What do you mean?
Would you like to run the show? You're making me lose my voice. Goddamn it!
Man, you're losing the voice all on your own. You said you're strong arming me, then you say you're not gonna change the topic, but now we're changing the topic.
You fucking got me to do it. Okay? I fucking changed the topic.
All right, well now we're going back to Hell Let Loose.
All right, so Hell Let Loose. Came out June 6th of 2019. A World War II game based off of the Western Front, I believe. And you get to play either German or American soldiers. I think is a breath of fresh air to a lot of the modern shooters that came out recently. They do have a lot of problems. I won't lie about that. But when
Who does?
Hell Let Loose.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
But other than kind of like basic spawning issues, also maybe what I would consider their fog of war aspect, or your ability to how far you can see, your rendering distance. I think that's probably the two biggest problems out of the whole series.
You think is render distance
I
and
just don't
nothing
like.
else.
Oh, there's the render distance is what bugs me the most. So like where
Why?
I should be able to see someone by like at 500 yards, they're like a ghost hovering over, through the bushes and shit. Like you just see a vague outline of someone.
I mean, I guess.
And like they are working on weapon balancing and stuff like that, so that's not too bad. And the weapons really like I don't know. They don't seem too imbalanced.
The weapons?
Yeah.
What weapons were those again? The American ones?
No, both. Like it kind of sucks for the Germans cuz they all use bolt action Mausers,
I don't
but
know. The Chinese ones are pretty cool. That's funny, man. You don't like Chinese guns?
no, I don't actually. They're kind of shitty.
The sight too small?
No, it's actually the stock. The stocks are too short. I have a longer arm. They make
Yeah,
them
but we're
shorter.
talking about German and American weapons.
You son of a bitch.
They've got like no automatic weapons for the Germans at all.
No, they don't.
They don't have the paratrooper. What is it? The
It was
MG or
a
FG-42. They don't
paratrooper.
have the. They don't have the. I'm pretty sure they don't have the MP40. It's been a minute since
They
I've played
do,
it.
but you can only play
Uh,
that if you're commander or assault. No, only
yeah,
if you're commander. Um, he has the MP40. The assault has the MP44.
it would just be nice to see a little bit more variety for the assault classes, because I know for the Americans you get the BAR, you
Mm-hmm.
get the Browning, you get the Tommy gun, you get like
The
I
Grand.
think there's another automatic, and then you get the semi-auto. Yeah, the Garand. The Garand is your sniper rifle. Like it's a one hit to the upper chest for both the
Yeah,
sniper rifle version and the regular version, which is nice.
yeah.
But
No,
like
they use the Springfield for the sniper. It's not semi-auto.
you can change it.
Oh, you can change it now.
I thought you could change it before.
Oh,
Because I remember having the M1 Garand, but it had the big scope on it. And
no.
like that's what I
I
mean. Like the Americans have the variety of like I know the Germans didn't really have that much, but the Germans had the Gewehr, and I don't
yeah.
think I've seen that in Hell Let
That
Loose.
is on one class. The one class gets the gear, but it's still not like it's not compared to having a whole infantry group with with M1 Grands. Oh, and they also get the M1 carbine too.
Yeah, and they get the M1 carbine. But like I guess the reason they don't really have that much balance between like semi fully and like single shot is all because of I guess you'd say the armor advantage and anti-armor advantage
The
that the
Germans had.
Germans have.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of the American tanks are pretty shitty, to be honest.
They're good. It takes two shots from the Sherman to take out a Tiger, but like that Tiger hits any of the American vehicles and it's
You're done.
gone. And
Yeah,
also, I'd like to see other things from that. Like I'd like to see the Japs. I'd like to see the Brits. I'd like to see a lot more involvement instead of just the America versus Germany
honestly, what I think
cliche.
would make them different is if they included multiple armies. So like I understand the German army didn't really work with anyone, but they technically did. They had when they took over Poland and stuff like that, they had those forces. So it'd be kind of cool if they had a mixture of like you could do British and American on some fronts, and then like German mixed with whoever they conquered in that area that switched over to be their allies.
I mean, if it's a historically accurate, that's
Yeah, I guess. So the Germans would be pretty much alone, but it'd be kind of cool to have like a mixture of American and Brit or American and Canadian
yeah.
pushing front lines, and then maybe do like a Russian front. That I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They also need to add in like if they did it, it'd be fun. But how Company of Heroes used to have blizzards.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That like real time weather would be would be pretty awesome. It would suck,
It'd be
but
something else.
yeah, it would be pretty awesome.
For
Now,
sure it'd be something else.
I don't think they're actually gonna ever release planes because I know they talked about it, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be really effective on the field. Is to have
Why not?
just because planes are so OP.
They're not.
Yeah, if you have a guy flying around for 2 minutes, he can strafing run pretty much whole outposts, and a lot of the land isn't set up to cover from planes. It's all flat land.
I mean, not really.
Okay, well,
You ever drove a tank?
yes,
How often do you get stuck?
yes, because there's hedges. That's about it. They do a lot of
Oh, there's
hedges.
the ditches, the trenches, the hedges. They've got like everything. You got to think you're in a plane way up. You've got to be able to spot the outpost, and then you have to take it.
Yeah, I think they could do it a lot easier, especially if they just came in and just did a quick strafe. Because the strafing runs now do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I don't think it'd be the same.
Now you think they'd be just a little less accurate.
Not even less accurate. I just don't think that they would have the same impact,
I think it would
like with shots on the ground. Like,
shoot back at him.
no, I mean, like, I don't think they'd have the same, like, the airstrikes that you can call in as a commander are explosive. They're not really. You can do like a strafing run with the MG from the plane, but like when you do a strafing run with the MG, you usually don't get that many kills.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they made it so that it was limited to like two bombs and a limited amount of ammunition, which is probably what they would do because they've done that with the tanks.
Yeah.
But if they've done something like that, it'd make more sense because then it'd be harder for them to just stay out for like 5 minutes straight, strafing all everything over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd work. But then they just it'd have to be one of those things that whoever claimed it first, or you'd have to build it up, or would you just have it be a class and the person's able to fly it around?
Not a class. Like they'd obviously should have the class, like the pilot class or whatever it is at the time.
Mm-hmm. And just set it on a timer.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if the pilot class also doubled up as the artillery. So they
I
got to
mean,
work the battleships, and then they also get
that's
to
what
work
the
the field
tank is
artillery.
supposed to be.
Yeah, but the tanks seem to roll out pretty fast if you have enough resources.
I'd like to see naval warfare. Like, I'd like to see what would happen if there was like battleships smashing the beaches and shit for the I mean either side that has them at the time.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Just to have that incoming artillery,
Yeah.
and I think that honestly would change a lot of the gameplay for, or at least for the German side, because at that moment, they don't really get too much pushback when you're like say playing Normandy Beach and you're just
Yeah.
getting mowed down. Having battleships smashing those little ports would be awesome. Well,
So from my perspective, I usually only play snipers.
yeah,
And like it's so easy because there's next to no pressure while you're playing a sniper to kill everybody that's coming up on the beach. And if you've got the bullet drop and the lead, like the snipers are absolutely
They're
devastating.
devastating, yeah. And they'll fuck up. The only person out there that's really your competition is the enemy sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's if you think of it in an era where scopes were not really a thing, it's kind of scary having someone being able to reach out and touch you, 500 yards out, and you still can't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the highest racking game you've had was like 50 kills, and they didn't make it up the beach.
63.
Was it 63? Because I think I got 45, and I was on the we held them on the beach again. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a two man or technically one guy sitting on a hill, and I think you died once or 0 times on that one.
I think I died like once or twice.
Yeah, so it's pretty insane just the kill to death ratio for a sniper. That's actually effective. There
It's
are some,
consistent too.
yeah, and
Um, I think their biggest problem is like hedges. I'm fine with them having hedges in the game. I'm not fine with them having hedges that you can't walk through or shoot through that
yes,
act like metal barriers
that's bullshit.
for everything else. Like,
Even normal plants act as metal barriers. There's a couple gardens that if you're
yeah,
fighting in them, you can hide behind the fucking tomatoes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then like the barbed wire, when you shoot at barbed wire or like in between let's say the tank tracks that they set up on the beach that people hide behind and stuff like that.
Mhm.
When you shoot between those, it's like 90% invisible wall,
Yeah.
which annoys the hell out of me as a sniper because I don't really miss, first off. Secondly, when I'm shooting and there's nothing blocking their helmet except for their helmet, and I hit that helmet and I hear the ting, and then I just see a splash off of nothing, and then they don't die, that bugs me.
Yeah, and that's probably just them not sizing their their objects on the game properly,
Yeah.
which is a little lazy.
But
Um,
that all in part helps with like the KD ratio that I have because I do abuse a few spots that have like I can shoot through the barbed wire, but they can't
can't shoot.
shoot
Yeah.
effectively at me, and it's annoying. But like
It works.
if it's there, use
Yeah. And that's something that I've noticed too is the barbed wire completely stops bullets. Like, come on, man.
it. Exactly.
Like I've never like I understand maybe if they do like a percentage, if there is like it's a percentage every time it hits, I could get that. But if it's every single time, that's just a nuisance. Um, and then when it comes to dealing with command roles and people in your squads, I think they need to kind of deal with that a little bit better. Um, it's kind of like sometimes you just get commanders that lock themselves in, and you can't really vote kick anyone. It takes a
Yeah.
lot to get someone out, and these commanders will completely screw up a whole game just because they'll drop supplies in the wrong spot, or they won't drop supplies. They'll just run around, and
Yeah.
they don't. Honestly, the commander's role is probably one of the most difficult, but the one of the most beneficial because they have to relay all information coming from squads back onto the map so that all squads can see active information. If the commanding role doesn't do anything, I may mark an observe point. That observe point is only visible by my squad. It's not visible by any other squad. So the commander has to, hit that point, remark it, and then it passes it on to everyone else, which is really tough. Because you get a lot of people calling and just giving you random random call markers. You're like, what?
Yeah.
But overall, I think with it, they are a year or under a year into the game, and they've been pushing updates to it, so it's been changing slightly. Now you can start modifying your loadouts a little bit. Um, I think if they tone it down, they can and really maybe focus on some of the game mechanics. It'll clear itself up and be a really good game, at least for World War II combat. Unlike Postscriptum, I hate that game.
Postscriptum was amazing. Better than Hell Let Loose.
No, I had no way. The fact that I have to click 3 times to reload a bolt action, no, 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 no.
Well, why would you click to reload?
So with Postscriptum with the bolt action, you shoot, you have to click again, your guy then cycles the bolt, and then you shoot again. I fucking hate it. I kept hitting R because it wouldn't shoot. So you have to cycle the bolt, and I'd keep hitting R because I'm like, oh, I gotta, cycle the bolt. R, because that's gonna cause me to reload. And I fucking just keep reloading. I hated that game. That game's, ugh, no. Alright, let's talk about your Divinity 2 Original Sin, since you're so keen on jumping to that.
I haven't brought it up. So why are you bringing up Divinity for?
Because you brought it up the whole morning, and now you
The whole
the whole
brother,
morning.
we've been on this for like 10 minutes.
The whole
What do
morning.
you mean
That's the whole morning.
Oh no, I haven't brought it up more than twice.
More than twice. Bullshit. You brought it up at least 20 times.
Well, I mean, when we watch this back, I think you're gonna be full of it.
That's fine. I still stand to my statements, and I won't change my statements even if I'm full of it.
All right. So going back to Hell Let Loose,
Okay.
I like playing a mage.
Yeah, okay. What about the mage role really fits your World War II experience?
Well, starting off in Fort Joy is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that there's a lot of things to do there. There's a good, like, at least if it's your first playthrough and you've never actually like played Divinity before and you haven't beaten the first area about 900 times like I have already, um, there's a lot to explore. There's a lot to find. There's lots of cool things to do.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a very it's one of those games that just has a lot put into it that you could easily overlook. And I'd say the first area, if you've never played it, would take 8 hours, easy, if you tried to complete everything.
and like you haven't even gotten like past halfway yet in the
Yeah,
first
I
area.
haven't. Yeah, and that's the crazy part is there's so much you can do in that game.
I'm gonna be excited for it because when we play it today, I'm gonna be probably Fane.
Yeah.
Um, and/or I'll make my own
Undead.
undead. But Fane is. Never mind. You don't have. Never mind. Anyways, there's a lot of cool things that you can do, and a lot of the main characters like Red Prince, Fane, Ethan, and stuff like that. Um, they all get special shit, and they all have special like character interaction with certain things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either choose the thing that I liked about this game is that you can choose to be someone or you can choose to be no one. And not a lot of games have done that. I dare I say like no games have done that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on
Um,
that.
and like that to me is amazing. Like sure, you can be a regular undead human, dwarf, whatever, and you can have the um oh well you're a sorcerer, you could change the world. You could change the world. But then you get like your other characters like your outlaws and stuff like that, or like the Red Prince, for instance, had his own kingdom.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of makes a mockery of him now because he's
He's
like whatever.
imprisoned, pretty much.
Yeah, and like that to me is cool. So you can either pick to be nobody, pick to be somebody. That's the first important thing for me. And then there is uh, what's the other one? Uh, Trying to remember what the hell the name is. Um, there's a few NPCs that you'll meet. I don't know how long we'll be playing for today after the broadcast is done,
We'll be going
but
for a couple hours.
um, at the start of the game with the Dallas encounter, the hammer,
Yeah.
very possible to beat her very easily. Um, the only thing
Wait, you
is
can
that
beat Dallas in the beginning?
yeah,
No.
yeah. So when we start
What?
the playthrough, we're gonna do it. We're gonna beat her
Fuck yes.
right off the bat because it gives you a special two-hander and it gives you an achievement.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, and it's really good. So
And that's the thing. Sorry to interrupt. That's the thing about Divinity that blows my mind away every single time. Is shit like that.
yeah,
Dallas is a character that has so with magic armor and standard armor included has about 2,000 health. You start off with a
well,
measly
it
40.
goes up more
Uh,
um, when you meet her. Like I've never actually got to fight her yet,
yeah.
but at the end of Fort Joy, there will be an encounter with her. I won't tell you
Oh, and you can
how
fight her
or
there.
when, but there's another encounter with her when you look at her, and her health just by itself is like 2,000, and her armor is like over 1,000 each.
So, do you fight her in the beginning when she nukes the
So things definitely get rougher as you go on. Um, vendors,
yeah,
um,
don't kill them?
vendors do different shit as you level up. So level 4, obviously, new abilities get added to vendors, traders, new items, etc., etc.
Mhm.
Level 9, new abilities, new vendors, new items,
Okay.
etc., etc. And then level 12, same thing. And I think that goes on every few levels up till I think the max is 20.
Okay.
So right now on one of my playthroughs, I've been playing with some German guy. He's pretty good shit. He actually showed me things in Fort Joy that I never knew were there.
Wait, there's more stuff
And to boot, on top of all that, um, that character now is level 12.
and you still
Um,
haven't let Fort Joy.
and a lot of the interaction is very, very cool, especially if you are a someone as opposed to a no one.
Yeah. So, I think they need to rename the 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 series to Divinity Original Sin. You don't leave Fort Joy. Or the Tale of Fort Joy, because there's just so much to do. Like
Did
everything
you
you
die?
what? Say that again. Hello. I think I lost you, Joe. And he is gone. All right. So yeah, like he was saying, there's just so much to do in the beginning, and the depth of the story is pretty deep. A lot of the characters have some pretty deep storylines, and you can choose to do them. So it's one of those games that if you've never played it and you're into RPGs and you're into playing like a I guess what would you call it? Not a squad based RPG, but like a kind of a dungeon crawl feeling. It is turn based when you go into combat, real life when you're running around. All your characters, you're free to do whatever you want with them. They can multi class. They can hop classes, change skills. You don't have to conform to a specific route. So, like, say I choose to be a cleric with a preset cleric skills. By level 4, I can be a cleric that has the ability to have also mage skills. You just have to find the skills, learn them, make sure you have the proper points and in your kind of like presets or your attributes, and that'll allow you to pretty much multi-class and really expand and change how you're doing things. Like the first thing we messed with was I made an undead
Time out.
character. Oh, what's up?
Have you been talking this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, well, only the last 5 seconds of it came through. Like after I stopped talking and I said hello, you were not talking.
Yeah, I got that from you too. I just kind of filled the gap.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So, there's so much you can do in this game just with character creation alone. I think the first time both Joe and I played, we spent close to 2 hours making characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, I did.
I messed around with a couple stuff. He's made a bunch of different characters, kind of just playing with different builds, seeing what's kind of OP. But you can just do insanely stupid stuff. Like we had undead characters. Undead get healed by poison, so I had an undead character that could cast poison around himself, so I could heal myself consistently. And then I also had life leech, or I had the trait leech, which means if I step in blood, I heal myself. So my guy was pretty much just a walking med station. He would just heal himself and keep healing. And then if a fight got too hairy, I could faint and play dead for 3 turns while laying in poison and healing. So it's just one of those games where you can just do like really goofy or really just OP setups where your character is pretty much running around creating a lot of havoc. But the game does a really good job kind of balancing that out, making sure that if you're fighting undead people and you're using poison weapons, you're healing them. You're not actually doing damage to them when you hit them with poison. So you have to be really like on your toes with who you're fighting, what your weapons are spec'd out for, making sure that if you're going to go into a fight with an enemy that's undead or fire immune, that you're swapping out weapons if you have weapons that are imbued and stuff like that. Still there, Joe?
Yep.
So you want to continue where you left off, where we lost you?
Where you lost me,
Yeah,
where you got lost.
where the internet decided no. Well, that's where we'll continue off.
Ah, okay. I don't even remember what I said last.
You were talking about choosing your own story and the amount of things you could do in Fort Joy, and then I said they should just rename it the Tale of Fort Joy for Divinity 2, since there's so much you can do in the beginning.
Yeah, there's a lot in the beginning. There's even more in the second area.
Jesus.
Um, Pretty sure I haven't even scratched the surface for the second area yet. It's pretty nuts.
Now, so I'm curious, when we go to kill Hammer, or sorry, Dallas, do we fight her before she nukes the main that princess, or do we fight her afterwards?
Yes, before.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this just so people understand, this character has pretty much 10 times your health. Actually, no, 20 times your health because of armor. And she kills you in one hit. And her ability pretty much vaporizes you and turns you into a pile of goo. It is atrocious and mean. And she also has three other characters with her that are on equal par, health wise and probably damage wise. I've never seen them fight, but I can assume that they kill you just as fast. So how do we deal with her guards?
Well, you'll see.
Uh,
It'll all come.
all right. I'm excited to see this because we've tried fighting her before just to see what would happen, and it turned out horrible. I think I ran away and then died.
Sure did.
It was pretty bad. But I guess you can walk around her and probably stall that encounter. It's probably what we have to do. But yeah, no, that game has a lot of goofy things, and pretty much everyone there can die. That's also one thing I really loved about the game is you can go and you can kill every single person um, in Fort Joy.
Yeah, if you want to, you can kill everybody, or you can kill no one.
Yeah, or you can kill no one. It's one of those games that really touches well on the player's freedom to really mold and change their gaming experience. Because we found out that if you kill certain people, that takes away from the storyline. That you might meet them later. It completely changes a lot of things. And that's just one of those games where I I would say is like just spot on. These guys hit the nail with the hammer, dead on. It was perfect. There's not much really to complain about it. There are some funny bugs. Like one of my favorite bugs is if you're playing with a multiplayer party. I don't know if you can do this in single player, but if you get locked into a conversation, you can switch to a different character that's not talking, and send them into the area if you know it's going to turn into combat, and pre-stage your your combat area so that you're closer to your enemies if you need your melee guys up there, or if your mages need to be high up so they do more damage from above. Um, you can kind of stack the area a little bit, which is kind of fun and kind of a little fun little quirk you can do and mess with people.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's see where are we at right now. Nice, we're at the 40-minute mark. So, couple games coming down the pipeline, or games that are out that I haven't played yet, and I kind of want to. I've been looking at MechWarrior 5 for a long time, and I really want to play it. But as I've seen gameplay videos come out recently, I don't think there's enough content to really make me want to spend the $60 to buy that game. As much as I love MechWarrior games, I just don't. I don't see it. Have you?
I mean, I haven't really looked much into MechWarrior.
So like MechWarrior Online was nice because it was free and it had a lot you can do. At least combat wise. This one looks like it carries over that a little bit, but it doesn't have. It looks like some of the replayability is kind of lost because it's just you get dropped in an area and you do the mission, you get picked up, dropped in an area, do the mission. So I feel like maybe it could get a little tedious.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened with the first I was gonna say Robotech, but it's not Robotech. The first mech, not Mech Warrior, but same universe as Mech Warrior, but it's can't think of it's BattleTech, the BattleTech game that came out. It was really fun. I had a lot of great detail, but it was too repetitive. I think it didn't have enough depth to kind of take you out of the turn-based area and maybe give you a little more reason to keep playing the game. Yeah, you can get new mechs and keep doing the same thing, but it just didn't have a lot of variety to it. It started feeling like the same mission over and over again. And you can kind of, if you're playing story mode, you can kind of start, you save, restart, save, restart, and just keep trying missions over again. Where even playing like a freelance merc and doing BattleTech, the missions were very vanilla. There wasn't much flavor to them, which kind of was upsetting.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that if you played the vanilla merc and you didn't go through the main storyline, it didn't help that the units you started off with were everything was a medium mech, so you're kind of fucked the moment you ran into a large mech or a heavy, and they would just rail on your guy, and they were like cheap mediums. You're talking about like nothing over 50 armor or something like that. I think they're all 44 or 45 ton mechs. No 50 ton mechs, which really make a huge difference when you need to use like Gauss cannons and missiles. But yeah, I think I'm gonna sit on it for a year, just because I want the price to drop.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it looks like a really good game, looks well made, but it's one of those games where I want to sit on it. And there's definitely a couple more that are coming out that seem like they have a good run at being really good games, but it's just kind of like at the moment with the way gaming has been, it's very hard to find a game like Divinity 2 where you're like, ooh, this has more. You're like, oh, okay, that's okay, and then you're like, oh wait, no, there's more. And you keep getting
exactly.
you keep stumbling upon more, and you're like, okay, this is probably where they're done. Like this is the amount of effort they put into it, and then you're like, no, there's more. These guys went full bore. These guys were. They remind me of when I used to make Rifts campaigns or characters, and then I would pass it off to my buddy, and my buddy would try and break it, and he would just you'd be like, oh, so you planned out a campaign, everyone's supposed to go this way, and then they'd be like, and we're gonna go right. And you're like, but you're supposed to go left. The clues point left. I'm like, yeah, but we want to go right. And you're like, okay. So like I got used to having to write like 4 directions, or a multi-directional campaign that had different paths for like stories, just because you don't know what people are going to want to do. And that's what Divinity does for you. It's got multiple paths. You kind of follow the same, storyline, but you're able to say, "Hey, let's kill this person," or let's go this way, see what this does. And there's something there, and which is really really cool. And a lot of stuff they do some really good job with hiding it with scenery. So like there'll be like a place you can pass under. It'll have rocks covering it, so you can't see your guy go under it. But if if you're just walking past it and your guy slips under, you're like, oh, what? And then you can kind of explore through that area. So they do a really good job kind of hiding things that are unseen, and just
Yeah.
right out of reach. Yeah, definitely a lot of praise for that game. I can't wait if they make a Divinity 3. That'd be amazing. And if they
I'm
put the same amount
assuming
of
they will.
effort. Have you played the Jedi game, the Fallen Order?
I got to play about 5 or 10 minutes of it at my cousin's. It was pretty fun. Um, Combat seems pretty basic, which is a little bit annoying, but
Mm. I just lost you again.
yeah,
There we go. So you said combat was feeling pretty basic.
yeah.
Now, do you think that's just probably just because they maybe put more time into just developing a nice artful scenery, and they didn't want to put too much time into developing combat and stuff like that?
Could be.
Is it feel basic like I know you're a huge Assassin's Creed fan. Is it like Assassin's Creed where you just have similar ways you can kill people, or is it kind of like basic like if you're fighting um
So what I'll say about it is lightsaber physics are pretty on point.
mhm.
Like when you hit something, that thing comes off, kind of deal.
Okay.
Um, but like aside from that, there's like a big lack of combos. There's like,
Oh.
I mean, it's fun when you first start playing because there's a lot of different stuff that you can do. But once you know what to do, things just become extremely repetitive.
Okay, so it's easy to break the game and kind of develop a rhythm.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, shit. Put that off my to-do list. And that's, the one thing I like about Joe is Joe's one of those guys that he'll break the game almost instantly. You have a really good habit of finding every single little loophole and then realizing it and utilizing it, which is aggravating, but at the same time very useful, because a lot of games that have what they seem to have, they seem to have a lot of depth in the beginning, just because they look, shiny and new. You easily uncover the dirty, the dirty laundry underneath.
Yes.
And it's usually a lot of games don't do a good job of hiding it. They're pretty open and screwed. All right, I think this is a good point to end it for the podcast. Let's go ahead and jump over to Divinity 2. You've already perked my interest. I wanna kill the hammer and take.
Yes.
That's all I can think about right now. So we're gonna go ahead and switch over to a live stream of us playing Divinity 2. We'll be on twitch.tv moosegod06, and I don't know if you'll be putting yours up, Joe, or do you have yours ready?
Nah.
All right, we'll pass on that, but next time he should have his ready. We'll get him ready for it. That'll be next week. So we'll be live again with the podcast roughly between 7 to 8 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time, and then if you're on the East Coast, it's going to be 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So if you want to wake up and enjoy the sweet soothing sounds of my voice and his voice as we discuss games and what we hate about them, go ahead and do that and jump in and join the chat, because the chat is open. It's been a very empty broadcast tonight, but that's fine. That's cool. It sometimes a lot of things take time to build. So once again, thank you for anyone that pops in and listens all the way to the end. If you just click the end, fuck you. Don't do that. And then until then, we'll see you guys next week.